It's time to break down some football.
We got to get our mind right. Touchdown, win.
From the perspective of guys who played in the NFL.
Touchdown!
And a guy who had one really great sack in high school.
Oh, you're so weak. You're wasting my time.
Greg Camarillo and Marcus McNeil are the pros, and Scraby is the Joe.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Two Pros and a Joe starts right now.
First thing I'm going to say is blue waffle.
No, don't say blue waffle. We have already started the podcast, and whatever you do out there, please do not Google what Marcus said to start the podcast. I am not endorsing that whatsoever. But if you want to see some disgusting pictures, Google what Marcus had to say at the beginning of the podcast.
Yes.
Oh, it's good to be back. Two Pros and a Joe. I'm Scraby. I'm with Marcus McNeil. I'm with Rick Camarillo. We are a football podcast that gives perspectives from both the pros, the former pros who played the game, which is Marcus and Greg, and the Joe, which is myself. I had one sack in high school. Greg played 8 years in the NFL with the Chargers, Dolphins, Vikings, and Marcus played 6 years with the Chargers at left tackle. Guys, it's been a couple weeks. Our Devon Best episode was very well received. I listened to it actually a couple times, and I took some more things from it. I really enjoyed Devon Best and what he had to say. So that was great, Greg. Thanks for pointing us into his direction.
Yeah, man. I love that guy. Love the reflection he's done on his career, the lessons he can teach us all. And you know what? I Googled blue waffle. And it's actually a blue waffle, so I'm all right. I'm not going to
go. I think you have like parental guidance on there or something like that because, yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
I definitely have the parental settings on my phone.
Yeah, if you want to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, it's at @2 Pros and a Joe. You can find Greg at Catch Camarillo on Twitter, at Marcus McNeil 73 on Twitter, at Matt Scraby, and at Odd Thomas 71, who is our producer extraordinaire. So you're going to hear a little bit more from him in the coming weeks. We're going to start trying to put out some side episodes with Thomas just to keep everybody caught up on everything. But I'm so happy to be here back with you guys with all of this NFL news. It kind of was slow for the past couple weeks. So we finally got some big news to talk about. And the first thing would be Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. He got paid. And I didn't think he was going to get paid. They signed him to a 4-year, $160 million deal, including a record $126 million guaranteed. And the first 3 years of the deal, according to Adam Schefter, averaged $42 million per year. So Dak, he had the goal of $40 million a year, and he got that goal of $42 million a year. So who has the strongest thoughts over here? Where are we going? Who wants to go first?
Let me go first because
right.
I was born into Cowboy Nation because my father is a Cowboys diehard fan, making me a descendant. So I think it was absolutely great. Let me say first off, I love when everybody gets paid, everybody, and I think Dak deserves it. Because his trajectory was really sending him to be one of the best quarterbacks before he had a terrible injury last year. And without him, we saw how bad the Cowboys were, even with Ezekiel Elliott still there.
Oh, yeah.
So I think he really deserves it. I think he's a leader on that team. And I just kudos to Dak, man. Way to get paid, bro. And the fact that Jerry paid you just makes it all that much.
Yeah, that does make it so much better because you know that was the last thing Jerry wanted to do was sign that check for all those millions of dollars. What do you think, Greg, about the deal?
Hey, I'm with Marcus. I love watching people get paid, especially someone that took a long road to get there and looked like he was on the verge of getting screwed by a bad injury. And I also love watching Jerry Jones. We all celebrate him for being a good businessman and making a lot of money. I love the fact that he was the one that got stuck. He had nowhere to go. It was either you pay Dak or you go looking for quarterbacks. And we've seen teams that go looking for quarterbacks, and that's a disaster. And so I love he had no choice. Dak's leg literally broke in half.
Ugh,
and he had no choice but to give him $160 million. And I love that. And Dak, is he a great quarterback? He's not a top top 3 quarterback. I wouldn't even put him at a top 5 quarterback. But the going rate for a top 10 quarterback is $40 million a year. So you got to pay the man $40 million a year. I love it. Am I convinced that the Cowboys are going to win now that they got this? No. Am I convinced that Jerry is a good GM? No. But I love the fact that Dak got paid.
Whoa. Now, hey, listen. The Cowboys are actually going to be a good team. And even though Dak was one of the main reasons that they went downhill this year, I wouldn't put it on just him getting hurt or Ezekiel Elliott not being able to run the ball. What it was we were missing the offensive line. Mm-hmm. And people do not realize that. We were a depleted offensive line this year. We're missing both our tackles, you know what I'm saying? One of our guards down. That's 3 out of the 5 players that's on the offensive line. And now you playing with scrubs. What can you do? And I couldn't fathom. I was like, why can't Zeke get off? And it took me a while to realize, oh, you have 3rd string players in front of you trying to block. And I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. We've seen that on numerous teams. We've seen it with the Chargers, for years when they couldn't block for Phillip, We've seen it on teams where you have great players, but if you don't have that offensive line in front of you, it's nothing you can do. So you get a healthy offensive line back, you get Dak back, you get Ezekiel Elliott that line that he needs to actually be pushing people back. And I think the Cowboys are in contention to win the NFC, again. But it wasn't hard to win the NFC this year. Not the NFC.
Yeah, the NFC East went to the Washington football team in a losing record. So Dak last year, though, he was pacing for some pretty incredible numbers. When he got hurt, he was coming off of 3 straight games of over 450 yards passing, and he had thrown 8 touchdowns during that time, and he had also rushed for 3 touchdowns during that time. So, I mean, like you both said, when Dak goes out, you see how good Dak is because the Cowboys couldn't win. And Andy Dalton is a completely serviceable backup. He's a starter for most of his career. Maybe not so much of a starter anymore, but he's fully capable of doing things to get the Cowboys in a winning position. He didn't. So this move makes all the sense in the world to me for the Cowboys. And again, I just love Jerry Jones, how he's the guy who has to open up his wallet for this. This is so good.
I got two takeaways from that. Well, one is their defense was abysmal, so they got to figure that out. Luckily, Dak's deal buys them some cap space because his number is only 22 mil, I think, for this upcoming year. So it buys them some cap space of what they would have needed to pay him on a franchise tag. The other one that I find most fascinating, Marcus is truly a descendant because he referred to him as our offensive line.
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
Running back. And I've never heard a former player not of that team ever say that. Man, you got that Cowboys blood coursing through your veins.
It's in my veins.
It is.
There wouldn't have been nothing better for me getting drafted in the NFL is if you would have slapped a star on the side of my helmet. You know what I'm saying? Like, my dad might have actually gave me a hug and a kiss. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh man, that's so sad, Marcus.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, like when I went to the Chargers, he looked a little disappointed, and it was like,
it's not your control, it's not your choice.
Pops wouldn't hug him, man. Damn it, Marcus. We gotta unpack that statement.
Hey man, it's all good. I love the Chargers families and all, but you got to be like when you're born into it. Like they have some of the best fans, right? Win, lose, or draw. The Cowboys people are going to wear their stars. They're going to wear it everywhere. And a fan base like that, you just have to respect. And a few teams that have it, you have the Cowboys, you have the Raiders, you have teams like the Steelers, you know what I'm saying? Regardless of how your team is doing, they're going to ride or die, even Philly. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you got to respect that as a player. When you love to like feel your fans like that in the game, Greg.
Yep. No, absolutely, man. I grew up a 49ers fan. I know Scraby appreciates that. I loved just going to play against them because it was like me as a kid watching old Candlestick Park. It was just it was like a dream come true just playing against them. So I couldn't imagine what it would feel like to actually put that on.
Marcus, do you ever play the Cowboys in your career? I mean,
Yes, I
AFC,
did.
NFC.
Yeah. We played. Actually had one of my best games against DeMarcus Ware. I think we talked about this on.
Oh, okay.
And it was a great game. And the best part about it is I watched the whole game on the Jumbotron. The screen is so massive.
Yeah.
Like it literally looked better looking up at this high definition screen than it did looking out on the field. It's like, no, they're too far. Like, let me just look back right here.
That's
kind of recline back and you look up and it's like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
I've never been inside the stadium, but I went to Dallas for work one time, and I'm not kidding. I was probably 15 miles away, and I still saw the stadium in the foreground. It was that big. It looked like an alien ship. It was crazy. And that's what they call it, Jerry's World. So good for Dak. We learned a little bit more about Marcus. We learned that he's a part of the Cowboys, and we just never knew it. And that Marcus, we're going to have to unpack some of the hugging that he did as a child as well. So
I need a hug from my dad, you know?
Yeah. You know what? Now that I think about it, my dad and I weren't much huggers either. I think that was my problem. I think it's my problem. But we'll go through that another day.
Yeah, don't worry about it, Scrape. I'll give you a hug one day.
Okay. Yeah, we still haven't seen each other, honestly, since we started this whole thing. And I do often, I've met Greg once before, or maybe a couple times. I know at least once we came in the studio. And I've met you, Marcus, but that was a long time ago. I always forget that Marcus is like 6'8". So I'm going to be
an awkward hug.
It will be an awkward hug, but it will be a good hug. It'll be a good hug. All right, Carson Wentz, we gave him a lot of crap throughout the year for being a terrible quarterback, and he is no longer with the Philadelphia Eagles. He has moved on through trade to the Indianapolis Colts. The Eagles shipped him off for a 2021 third-round draft pick and a conditional 2022 second-round pick that could turn into a first-rounder. I know that the Eagles were very disappointed with what they got for Carson Wentz, but really, I mean, the market was very low for him. Everybody in the NFL knew that he wanted out. The Eagles weren't going to be able to keep him. So I personally think this is a great deal for the Colts. I think that they give away nothing, and they're getting a serviceable quarterback, more than serviceable quarterback, and he's going to be back with his guy Frank Reich. So what do you think, Greg? Do you think this is a good move for Indy?
I think it's a great move for everyone. One, Philly was done with him, so there was no future for him there, and Andy was going to just cost a lot of money. So you got to get rid of him. And then he goes to Indy, where they had no quarterback. Phillip Rivers retired and left them with no other option. And so here it's a project. I'm not saying he's going to jump in and be fantastic right away, but he reunites with a coach that has confidence in him, a coach that knows what he does well, and vice versa. Carson has confidence in Frank Reich because they were together. And in the NFL, it's always about fit and opportunity at the right time. And you know, I love case studies. I want to give you the one of Alex Smith. First overall pick.
Missed them. I've missed them so much.
Yeah, and you know Alex Smith from watching him as a Niner fan.
I love Alex Smith.
For several years. He looked
whoa.
You hear? He looked like an absolute bust for several years. And then he got the right fit, and he lasted like a whole nother decade, made another $100 million. So it's all about finding that right fit at the right time. And I think Carson Wentz is going to do well in Indy. Is he a Pro Bowler? I'm not convinced about that. But will he be good enough for them to be competitive? Yes.
Hey, Greg, I like how you feel on this. And I think that Carson Wentz actually has a good chance in Indy for the same reasons that Phillip had a great chance in Indy, was mainly because he had an offensive line, right? You put him with an offensive line, and now do you get that same Carson Wentz that was up for league MVP when they won the Super Bowl before he got hurt, right? Now you actually give him a chance to play. The only thing that goes against that is you had Anthony Costanzo, who actually retired, this year. So we'll have a few question marks on the offensive line for Indy, but for the most part, and then also T.Y. Hilton, who's a free agent this year. We have to see if we're going to get him back, because that's one of their big play receivers, or somebody that he probably wants to get familiar with. But if you put the weapons around him and you put an offensive line in front of him, I would love to see him do good, right? This is the guy who had Philly, going to the Super Bowl, before Nick Foles took over for him and then they won it, and who was actually in MVP talk that year. So does he still have that magic? I don't know, but it's going to be great to see him in the uniform last year. And he just needed to get out of Philly. I mean, we all know those fans are brutal. I think that the team right now is just riding behind Jalen Hurts. They seem to be bonding well. Everything that you hear about them, they're meshing well. So I think they were ready to move on. And the fact that they were able to get rid of them for a pack of noodles and some Skittles.
Topical Skittles, though.
What kind of noodles? Are we talking Top Ramen? Are we talking?
Oh, yeah. Oh, Top Ramen now. Come on.
All right, I would trade for Carson Wentz. I would trade for some noodles and some Skittles as well.
Come on, man. We'll take that. We'll take that, man. So,
yeah, you hit on something right there at the end, Marcus, I think is interesting because the team itself seems like they're all rallying around each other, but the ownership and everybody who runs that team, it just seems like a dumpster fire. You got the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, basically telling the coach today that you will spend your time developing Jalen Hurts, and there will be no quarterback competition. So I personally think, and curious to hear what you guys have to say, but when owners are making roster decisions, bad news.
Bad news. You're not a football person. You're a rich person and possibly good at business.
You might be a great business person, but
might be. Or you might have just had a rich dad. You
could be, yeah.
Got that team, but you did not get that team by being good at football. Let the people that know football make the football decisions.
Yeah,
point blank period. You have to stay out of that. And now you never really want to see your owner and your head coach kind of butting heads, right? The last time I saw something like that happen with me personally was when Marty Schottenheimer couldn't really get along with the front office in San Diego, right? It was like, how do you go 14-2 and then all of a sudden you're released? Like it changed my whole paradigm of like what I thought the NFL was. I had a paradigm shift where it was just like, wow, I thought if you win, you stay. You know what I'm saying? I thought if you win,
crazy thought.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but apparently it's about relationships as well. So
yeah, that's that whole thing. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, and Marcus came on the show after Marty unfortunately passed away. So rest in peace to Marty Schottenheimer. But that is a crazy, crazy story that still makes no sense to me that you would fire a guy after 14-2 because someone's ego can't handle it or whatever it was. But, that's the world we live in as what is it? As very strong men in a very manly sport, I guess. Is what
Yeah. I just hate to see it for Philly. You know what I'm saying? Like they need everything to kind of rally behind Jalen Hurts, period. Yeah. And to have like that divide right there between the field and the ownership or just a line drawn in the sand, really, like where it's like, it's this way or no way, you know what I mean? Like, that's not really the best way, you know what I'm saying, to be the administrator that you need to be from the top down,
Ultimatums never work.
Yeah, not in this day and age. I'm sorry.
My last relationship, I gave her an ultimatum. And guess what happened? She went the other way very quickly. So,
and now you hang out with us on Tuesday night.
That's fine. I appreciate that. I appreciate that more. I'd rather hang out with you guys on Tuesdays.
Right, Scraby.
To take the other side of that, I mean, there's not a controversy with Jalen Hurts. Like, he's their guy. He is.
Yeah, because they have Suddy as the backup. Nate Sudfeld.
Yeah. We saw what happened. You put him in, you get fired. But it's like, I mean, everybody's behind you. It's not like a controversial statement. Like, everybody is behind Jalen Hurts. So he's your guy. I mean, granted, I don't want to hear quotes from owners because
then why say it though is the question. Why say it?
Why say
it? Yeah, why say it? Just like leave it there. Like, we know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, let it happen. What's understood doesn't need to be explained.
Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. The other thing I wanted to get your opinion on would be the combine. Usually the combine all takes place in Indianapolis, where we're just talking about with Carson Wentz and all that. But this year it's not going to happen in Indianapolis because of COVID and everything that's going on with that. They're actually going to do, it's going to be pro days on campus today, or instead, it's no in-person workouts in front of everyone like we're used to seeing the NFL Network covering it, doing the 40 and wearing those short shorts with balls bouncing up and down and all that stuff.
Footballs?
Oh, it's crazy.
I don't know why, but I mean, come on. We all know that that's what people are talking about after they run, because it's just like. Anyway. I don't know why I decide that this is the podcast. I'm just going to talk about balls all the time. It's so weird. It's so
all right,
weird.
man. It's
Anyway.
all right.
Anyway, let me keep going. All virtual, or all the interviews are going to be virtual, and psychological testing limited in medical exams. It's just a whole new world, and I wanted to get your guys' opinion on whether or not you think this is going to hurt some of the players that are on the bubble in the draft. And a lot of these guys come into the combine, they might put up some great combine stats, and it puts them on the radar. And now all these other teams want to check them out and interview them and all this other stuff. But I feel like this is going to hurt not the product of the NFL, but it's going to hurt those guys in the bubble. And curious what do you think, Marcus?
Oh man. To be honest, when you got a little school, or when you coming out of a smaller school, it's harder for you to get a combine invite, to be honest, like anyway, unless you're like really tearing it up. Like most of the time, the guys from smaller schools, what they'll do is they'll try and attach themselves to maybe a larger school's combine or pro day,
Gotcha.
So like maybe you got a kid who was at, a school like, let me think of a school like Louisiana Tech or something like that. Maybe there's a way that your agent can get you into like an LSU type, pro day deal or something like that, to where you can work out besides some of these guys. I've heard those types of things happening before, but if you were from a smaller school, unless you're putting up monster numbers, everybody's already looking for you. Like, it's just harder to get to the combine anyway. And it's hard enough at the combine in itself. Like, everybody thinks the combine is easy. Like, you actually got to work out to go to the combine. Like you need to be ready, because when they put you out there, they're going to put you through drills at a fast pace. And when I said I was dead tired when I finished the combine, I was dead tired. I thought I was going to get out there, blaze a 40, do a little jumping around, smack 5 with everybody. And then they're sitting there running you through barrel drills and over bags and all this other stuff. And I'm sitting there huffing. I'm trying my best not to look tired. Like, that shit is tough. So, if you could do a pro day at your school, I think that actually works out in your favor. You know what I'm saying? Now you got your coaches setting up your shit. You know what I'm saying? Now you got your coaches, sitting there timing your 40. Like if you get a little tired, like, they're not going to try and kill you, especially if you got a good relationship with them. Like, they're trying to make you look good, because by you looking good, you make them look good, compared to when you're in a bipartisan situation like the combine, where you just grab coaches, from the NFL, or, strength coaches from different colleges and stuff like that, who want to humiliate you. Like, who it seems like their job is to come there and make you look like a piece of shit. Like, I'm sorry, like, so like right now, I think it might work out better for some of those guys on a bubble, because one, they'll be more comfortable testing in their own environment, you know what I'm saying? And then 2, they won't be put on the stage of a combine where you get some of those workout jitters, because it's like, 24 GMs are sitting there looking at you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Stands and stuff in an empty stadium, like, and you're trying your best to perform for them.
No, that's all very valuable insight. What about you, Greg? I don't know if I've ever asked you this before. Were you at the combine, or did you do a pro day? And and you have this look on your face like, come on, Scrape. But
I'm debating whether I should intro this or jump straight into it. So let's jump straight into it, man. Fuck the combine.
Fuck the combine.
And that comes from a guy that was not invited to the combine, nor should I have been invited to the combine. I think it's you don't need it. First of all, every GM that wants to see somebody is going to see somebody. Either they're going to be there in person or they're going to see film. It's so easy to tape something now. You're going to have camera angles from every big pro day, from every different angle. If a GM wants that video, they're going to get that video. If a GM wants that time, they're going to get that time. And they're going to have the little laser setups. It's not old guys with stopwatches. Like, how accurate is the combine? Dude sitting in the stands, clicking, like, get the fuck out of here. You know the difference between a 4.45 and a 4.50, how much that affects your salary?
Yeah, that's true.
How quick that little twitch of the thumb, man, get out of here with that. So, I think the athletes are going to be seen. If you're fast, you're going to see it on Twitter. You're going to see it in the GM's office. Where I think it affects people is getting to actually meet a player. Now, if I told you Marcus McNeil is this gigantic left tackle out of Auburn, you're impressed. And then this mofo drops the word paradigm, and you're like, holy shit, I got to draft that guy. So that's where I think you're going to miss. You don't get a chance to really to connect with anyone. You don't get a chance to see what they're about mentally. And that's important to me. If I'm a coach, I got to make sure I'm getting the right type of athlete, which you'll still be able to analyze, but I also got to make sure I'm getting the right kind of person too, that fits my team, that fits my culture. And I think that's where they're going to lack. But as far as small school guys, man, there's so many videos. GMs will see you if you put up you run a 4.2, someone's going to see that.
Yeah, that's their job to find you.
Yeah. But like UGA just had their pro day, and defensive back Eric Stokes ran a 4.244.
Wow.
Yeah, he's blazing.
Laser time.
Hey, come on now. That's
Yeah.
fast right there, period. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you feel better running at your school than you do on that stage, you know? Like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, the surface, the facility, you sleep in your own bed. You're just, it's home. It's the home field advantage. I agree with that, Marcus.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I just didn't have a good time at the combine, Greg. You can say fuck the combine too. For me too, man. Like, I just didn't have a good time.
Did you
It's
run
like,
faster at your pro day?
yes, I did, but I had a bum knee at the combine. I still decided to run because, like, that's me. Like,
Do you remember what you got? Because I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, 5:07. It was weak.
This website's got it wrong.
What? Which one? Oh, at the pro day or
NFL Combine? No, NFLCombineResults.com says you were 5.09. Jerks.
No, 5.07.
I'm gonna contact them.
Yeah, they need to
your
get
pro
that
day?
right. Point blank period. 4.81 and 4.86.
Dang.
Yeah, so like I knew I had the wheels. Matter of fact, I remember going to the combine and talking to one of the coaches on side. He was like, "Hey, are you going to break the record today?" You know what I'm saying? And I was like, "Well, that's what I'm planning on doing." You feel me? But like I knew that I couldn't really get off. I had like a lot of tendonitis, and my meniscus was still messing with me from my left knee, so I just couldn't like get out as fast as I wanted to. But I knew I had the wheels. To be honest, I didn't want to bench 225. Like I don't know if you guys know, but this 7-foot wingspan right here is a little bit tougher with that 225. You know,
That's
what I'm
a
saying?
long way to go with
That's
that.
a long way to go. And then they're gonna get it all the way up. Get it all the way up. Like, man, I just seen Buddy right there with them 6-inch arms, short stroking it. Like, let me do me.
I never even thought about that. Like, did you lift?
No. I actually I broke my hand against Georgia my senior year.
Oh, that's good then.
Yeah. So like that was like one of our last games of the year. So I was just like, you know what? I didn't get a chance to like really train and prep for like strength wise for the combine. I could still do my athletic stuff, but I was
you got a vertical of 31 inches. That's pretty darn good. And that's with the bum knee.
Hey, I'm an athlete now, Scrape. Don't let it fool you now. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we get busy out there.
I think some of the most athletic people on earth are offensive linemen in the NFL.
Yeah, some of them.
Greg, look at Greg. Yeah. I knew that was gonna.
Yeah. We can't just hand no. We can't just hand that all the time.
Let's define athletic.
Oh man.
Hey,
well,
Greg, I got a question for you about the combine. Did you meet with the Chargers? And if so, how did those meetings go? Was there any hint that they liked you because of, I mean, the athleticism was, once we
Through the roof.
You're 6'8", 300 something pounds, and you run a 4.8. The athleticism is there. But do you think those meetings affected where you went?
I don't really think the meetings affected where I went. I don't remember meeting with the Chargers, to be honest. The only meeting I remember was with Tampa Bay. And the reason why I remember that is because the offensive line coach was there. And I remember him sitting there, and he kept on trying to push my buttons. He's like, hey, you think you come down and play in Tampa or in the NFL? You know what I'm saying? Like, what makes you tough enough? What makes you tough enough to play in the NFL? You think you come down to Tampa Bay? And I told him straight to the face, I like, bro, I played my last 2 games with a broke hand. So based off of what I did, I ain't got to worry about if I'm tough enough. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You got to worry about if I can come in here and start on your team, because we know I'm tough enough. My hand still broke to this day. I ain't have no surgery with it. And when he saw me say that and not back down, he was kind of like, okay, he's not no punk. You know what I'm saying? And Tampa Bay actually was one of the teams that was on my radar for me to get drafted. You know what I'm saying? Like, actually going into the draft, because I had previous back injuries in college, I knew that there was only roughly 6 teams that were going to draft me because I failed everybody else's physicals, right? So Tampa Bay was one. The Chargers were one. And actually, this is a funny story. The Chargers, like, Dean and Ed always laugh because they were like, we got 2 first-round picks that year with you and Antonio Cromartie. You know what I'm saying? Like, because whenever they picked Cromartie was supposed to be a top 10 pick. Whenever he slipped to them, now they picked him up. And then when they didn't give me that first round, because I didn't have any more teams that were going to draft me besides those 5, now I slipped into the second round, and I was still on the board when they came back around. And to this day, Ed always laugh and they always giggle about, yeah, that was one of our best draft classes right there, because we got 2 first-round picks for the price of 1. You know what I'm saying? But it just made me have a chip on my shoulder because I knew the type of player I was. I knew I was a dog. I played in the SEC 4 years. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's strap these pads up and let me show you what it's about.
I'm ready to go.
Hey, did you feel it? You feel it?
I did. I was like, I'm ready to go right now.
Hey, that's how we used to be, Greg. We ready to go, boy.
I'm
ready for sack number 2.
Sack number 2, baby. I'm like, come on.
Hey, Big Mac, you sure sounded like a real O-line coach though with that fake impersonation right there, man. You took me back.
Hey, I'm trying to tell you, I got years of O-line professionalism in me. You know what I'm saying? My dad was my coach, so I've been cussed out every way since Sunday. You know what I'm saying? So we know how to put it on, man. But it was. I appreciate that, Greg. I appreciate that. You know, I might be working on a second career later on in life.
Yeah. Do you guys ever think about coaching? Random question.
They work really hard. They stay up real late.
They do.
And I was never a fan of watching a lot of film. And that's what, man, they love watching film. For me, it was like, all right, let me see how aggressive this left corner is. Let me see how aggressive this right corner is. Will that safety take your head off? Let's go play. That's all. I mean,
I love it.
Way to keep it real, Greg. Cause like that is you hit it on the head both ways. One, right, to be a coach, you have to watch film, period. Right. And I'm not a film watcher. You know what I'm saying? When I go to film, you know, the one thing I used to hate about film was you go to film and then they're hyping this guy up. Like, oh my God, like he's all world. He's watch him destroy this guy right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to see that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just go out here and line up. All right, and see how it go. Like, I don't want to see the unathletic guy getting, you know what I'm saying, demoralized on film. And now that's creeping in the back of my head when I'm ready to play. Like, get beyond that. But 2, like, to be a coach, you need to watch film, right? Like, you need to study. You need to be an actual like student of the game. And that bothers me a lot of time when people start coaching, especially like on maybe like high school or like maybe little league levels where you feel like you play Madden or 2K and now you officially know how to be a coach.
Oh, that's so funny you say that.
That is absolutely terrible, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so if you're not going to be a student of the game, you don't need to be a coach. And if you don't like to watch film, you don't need to be a coach either.
Yeah. All right, last topic before we go. Greg, do you have anything to say? I'm sorry, I may have.
Yeah, just to finish that off, just so our viewers know how much they break down film. They'll have every down and distance and for a receiver, every coverage that comes off of that. So we'll know first and second down. 6% of the time they play cover 4, or on third and 2 to 3. 8% of the time they play cover 3, third and 3 to 7, 14%, and it's like, the fuck? I don't want to know that.
It's too much.
You give me what they do the most. And
yeah, they can. Yeah. I would be the same way. You guys analyze what's going on, and then you just tell me what to do, and I'll try to do it.
Yeah,
that's what I would want.
Give me the situation.
I'd play for you, Scraby.
Oh, good.
Probably wouldn't win, but I'll play for you.
No, I'd be like, you guys want to go for it? No, we want to go home. Okay. Last thing is franchise tags. It's kind of a hot topic right now because everything went down. But I just wanted to get your quick thoughts on if you like franchise tags. Basically, they're 1-year contract offers that come in 2 forms: exclusive and non-exclusive. The exclusive restricts negotiating rights to the tagging team, so no one else can get them. And the salary will be an average of the top 5 salaries at the player's position in the current year. And then there's all this other stuff that goes on. So let me give you some examples. Chris Godwin, wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He is franchise tagged. He was franchise tagged today. He'll be making $16.43 million in 2021. Chicago Bears wide receiver Allen Robinson. He is going to make $18 million in 2021. And then Jacksonville Jaguars, I just want to get an offensive tackle in there to see what they're making these days. Cam Robinson, he is set to make $14.507 million under the tag in 2021. So that's not bad at all, averaging the top 5 salaries. Are you guys a fan of that? I know that some players will say, I don't like the franchise tag because I don't have any sort of security for my future. I don't have anything past this year. What if I get injured? Things of that nature. But what do you guys think, Greg?
I love it. It's a compromise. It is a way for a team and a player to compromise and figure it out because they have to pay you a shit ton of money for 1 year. If you are more concerned about longevity, then you can negotiate a smaller contract per year for longer. But for me, you're telling me I'm going to pay you to be a top 5 player and guarantee that money once you hit the field. And then next year, if I play well, you got to pay me even more or give me a contract. And we're talking about life-changing money. So it's not like anyone's getting screwed. If you go out there and break your leg like Dak Prescott, 1, you could still make a comeback. But 2, you just got paid a fat sum. I like the system. I think it's a good compromise.
All right. Marcus, what do you think about the franchise tag?
It's a love-hate relationship with the franchise tag. And the reason why I say that is if you are the best player, right, then you want to break the bank and set that status quo. So like you averaging me out for the top 5 might not be good enough, especially if I feel like I'm the best player at that position. Right. But at the same time, the love part of it is, guess what? You do get paid a shit ton of money. I remember when they were steady franchise tagging Julius Peppers, and every year he was just back to back to back to back, making tens of millions of dollars. Like you can't go wrong with that. And to be honest, people these days don't even want long contracts. Give me a 3-4 year deal. You don't want to be locked into a 5 or 6 year deal, right? Especially the way that the salaries go up.
Yeah.
Like, let me come back to the table as quick as possible so that I can get another deal done, especially if you're confident in your abilities. Like, bring me back. You know what I'm saying? Let me break the bank and then come run it back. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to run it back 2-3 times, Double
bag.
Yeah, well, we're going to get some more contract stuff going on here in a few weeks. Whenever they figure out the salary cap, I know there's some guys being dumped like Kyle Van Noy from the Dolphins, but we'll talk about that in a different podcast once more names come down, once more decisions come down. But it was good to be back with you guys. I loved all the stories you told about the Combine, the pro days, Greg's hatred for the Combine, all that good stuff. Make sure that you go on iTunes and rate us, because we did get a very good review from someone. They gave us 5 stars. Thank you, whoever that was. I have no idea who that was. But we do appreciate you giving us that rating. You can do that on iTunes. You just need to find us at the number 2 Pros and a Joe. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify, iTunes, all that good stuff. Google Podcast. If you head to any of our social medias, you can find the link tree to all the different links out there. But we appreciate everyone who's been supporting us, who said those nice things to us, who have given us topics to talk about. And we have an international following, guys. We definitely have an international following, because I saw the other day when I was going through some of our stuff that our last episode 16 with Devon Best, it had someone from France listening to it.
Hey.
It had people from Mexico, obviously, with us right next to the border.
Those are my cousins.
Yeah.
Cousins, is that what you just? Is that for real?
Hey, can we set a goal, a podcast goal of trying to have a beer with all our international listeners in their country?
Oh my
Scrapes, maybe a crepe or a croissant in France.
I will. No, I'm definitely with you guys. I will not be drinking the beer because I don't drink, but I will be there to support the beer. I would love to go to some different countries, meet some of these listeners, and talk football around the world. That would be amazing.
I'm gonna tell you what it is. I'm an international player. You know what I'm saying?
you're an international player.
An international player, baby. You know what I'm saying? That probably was some of my old hoes from France. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully my wife didn't hear that.
All right, finally. I've been clicking around trying to waste time to find the countries. In the last 5 episodes, we have been heard in the U.S., obviously, Mexico, France, United Kingdom, Canada, New Zealand, Russia, Australia, Turkey, Germany, and Japan. So thank you to everyone out there. Please let us know who you are. I want to talk to you.
Arigato.
Yeah, arigato, Mr. Roboto, I think is how that goes, right? But thanks to everyone around the world that are listening to us. I found that very cool. I was very pumped when I looked at that and I saw it.
You know, that would suck if it was like a debit card transaction. And you're like, who the hell?
Yeah, right? But we love everyone who is listening out there, so please reach out. We would like to hear from you, and one day maybe we'll even come do a podcast in your home.
Hey, guten Tag.
Guten Tag, hola, bienvenido. I don't know what in Canada, they just say, eh. So that's it. 2 Pros and a Joe. Find us on Twitter at 2 Pros and a Joe. Marcus McNeil at Marcus McNeil 73 at Catch Camarillo at Matt Scraby, and that's it. Thank you to everyone. Appreciate you all. Talk to you soon.
Grazie.
I think it was grazie.
Grazie.
Merci.
Oh, merci beaucoup.
No, grazie. And mijo.
Right.
They're my mijos.
What, Donka Shane? All right, that's it.